The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the usual arrogance of 1,000 different species who believed they ruled the universe. Ambassador Kleth adjusted his 6 arms nervously, his purple skin glistening under the harsh artificial lighting. The holographic display showed Earth spinning lazily in the void, that insignificant blue marble that had been causing them so much trouble lately. Order. Order in the chamber. Supreme Chancellor Vex slammed his crystalline gavel against the podium, his tentacles writhing with barely contained fury. We are here to discuss the human problem, not to gossip like hatchlings. The laughter that rippled through the assembly was cruel and sharp. Humans? A problem? The very notion seemed absurd to most of the assembled delegates. These bipedal mammals had barely crawled out of their gravity wells, and already they thought they could negotiate with beings who had conquered galaxies before their son was even born. Respected Chancellor. Kleth began, his voice carrying the weight of his 5 centuries of diplomatic experience. Perhaps we are being too hasty. The humans have shown remarkable adaptability in their brief encounters with our outer colonies. Maybe a more diplomatic approach would yield better results. A wet, gurgling sound emerged from the throat of General Thrakk, the military commander of the Zephyrian fleet. His scales reflected the chamber's light like polished obsidian, and his 4 eyes fixed on Kleth with undisguised contempt. Diplomatic approach. Ambassador, with all due respect, these creatures destroyed 3 of our mining stations last month. They used primitive kinetic weapons and somehow managed to breach our shields. Primitive weapons that somehow worked, muttered Delegate Finn from the back rows, her insectoid features twitching with what might have been amusement. How embarrassing for our military. The chamber erupted in angry chittering and roars. Thrakk's massive form rose from his seat, his claws extending menacingly. I will not tolerate such insubordination. The Zephyrian fleet has conquered 17 star systems. A few lucky shots from desperate mammals does not constitute a threat. Then explain how they managed to capture Admiral Zorus, Delegate Kane interjected, his synthetic voice cutting through the noise like a blade. Being an artificial intelligence inhabiting a mechanical body, he had no patience for organic pride or posturing. Explain how they not only captured him but sent his severed head back to us with a note that read, "Thanks for the snack, regards from the human resistance." The silence that followed was deafening. Zorus had been one of their most decorated commanders, a being whose tactical brilliance had ended 3 separate rebellions. The fact that humans had not only killed him but had done so in such a creative manner was troubling. Chancellor Vex's tentacles coiled tighter around his staff. The humans have crossed a line. They have shown us disrespect, and disrespect must be met with overwhelming force. I propose we make an example of them, one that will echo throughout the galaxy for millennia. And what exactly do you propose? Kleth asked, though he already feared the answer. A live execution, Vex announced, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. We will select 99 million humans at random and execute them during a galaxy-wide broadcast. Every species, every world, every space station will witness what happens when primitive beings dare to challenge the Galactic Council. The chamber fell into stunned silence, even by the Council's standards. This was extreme. Kleth felt his heart racing, a cold dread settling in his stomach. Chancellor, surely you cannot be serious. 99 million beings? That is genocide on a scale that even we have never attempted. I am deadly serious, Vex replied, his bioluminescent patches pulsing with dark energy. The humans need to understand their place in the galactic hierarchy. They are nothing more than clever animals, and animals must be trained. General Thrakka's massive head nodded approvingly. I can have the execution fleet ready within 2 rotations. My ships carry enough firepower to glass their entire homeworld if necessary. No, Vex said firmly, we will not glass their world. We will make this personal. My intelligence networks have identified their major population centers. We will teleport exactly 99 million humans to neutral space, where they will be executed one by one, slowly, methodically. The survivors will watch every single death. Delegate Kane's optical sensors focused on the Chancellor. And if they retaliate, my calculations suggest that cornering any species, even a primitive one, can lead to unpredictable outcomes. Thrakk's laughter was like grinding stone. Retaliate? With what? Their pathetic chemical rockets? Their metal bullets? We have energy shields that can deflect small asteroids. What could these mammals possibly do to us? They could surprise us, Kleth said quietly. They have a saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. I fear we may be about to learn what human desperation truly looks like. Enough. Vex's voice boomed through the chamber. The decision is made. General Thrakk, you will oversee the execution. Ambassador Kleth, you will deliver the ultimatum to their leaders. Make sure they understand that this is merely the beginning if they continue their resistance. 3 days later, the ultimatum was delivered to every human government simultaneously. The message was simple and brutal: surrender unconditionally, or watch as 99 million of their people died for the galaxy's entertainment. The human response was swift and predictable. Every world leader, every resistance cell, every military commander delivered the same message: go to hell. Kleth watched the execution preparations with growing unease. The humans had been selected at random, teleported from their homes, their workplaces, their schools. Men, women, children, elderly people who had never heard of the Galactic Council before today. They were herded into transparent holding cells aboard the execution ship, their faces showing a mixture of terror and defiance that made Kleth's stomach turn. Having second thoughts, Ambassador? General Thrakk's voice carried a note of mockery. Perhaps you would prefer to be down there with your precious humans. I am simply observing. Kleth replied carefully. It is my duty to witness the consequences of our decisions. The broadcast began at precisely 0800 Galactic Standard Time. Every inhabited world, every space station, every ship in the galaxy received the signal. The camera focused on Chancellor Vex, who stood before the holding cells with the satisfaction of a predator about to feed. Citizens of the galaxy, Vex began, his voice carrying across light years of space. Today you witness the consequences of defying the Galactic Council. These humans believed they could resist our authority, could challenge our rightful rule over this galaxy. They were wrong. The first human to die was a young woman named Maria Santos, a teacher from Earth's Brazil continent. She faced her executioner with tears in her eyes, but her chin held high. The energy weapon vaporized her instantly, leaving only a brief flash of light and a scream that echoed through the chamber. One by one, the humans were executed. Some begged for mercy, others cursed their killers, and a few simply stood in silence. The galaxy watched with various degrees of interest, horror, and satisfaction. Most species had been where the humans were now, had learned the hard way that resistance was futile. But as the hours passed and the death toll mounted, something unexpected happened. The humans in the holding cells began to change. The terror in their eyes was replaced by something else, something that made Kleth's blood run cold. They were getting angry. It started with whispers, then grew into chants. The humans began calling out to their home planet, sending messages of love and defiance. They sang songs Kleth had never heard before, songs of revolution and freedom. Some shared jokes with their fellow prisoners, actually laughing in the face of death. What is wrong with them? Delegate Finn asked, her compound eyes reflecting confusion. Why are they not begging for mercy? They are broken, Thrakk replied dismissively. Fear has driven them insane. But Kleth knew better. These humans were not broken, they were preparing themselves for something. Their behavior reminded him of the old war stories from his grandfather's time, tales of species that chose to die on their feet rather than live on their knees. The execution continued for 18 hours. 99 million humans died, their last moments broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. When the final prisoner was executed, a frail old man who had smiled at his killer and said, "Thank you for freeing me," the chamber fell silent. Chancellor Vex turned to face the camera one final time. This is the fate of all who oppose the Galactic Council. Let this be a lesson to every species, every world, every individual who believes they can challenge our authority. We are your masters, and you exist at our pleasure." The broadcast ended. The execution ship powered down its weapons. The galaxy returned to its normal routine, secure in the knowledge that order had been restored. But on Earth, something had changed. The humans had watched every death, witnessed every moment of suffering. They had seen their friends, their families, their fellow citizens murdered for the entertainment of alien overlords. And in that moment of absolute horror, humanity had made a collective decision. They would not surrender. They would not negotiate. They would not beg for mercy. They would fight. Dr. Rebecca Harrison stood in the underground laboratory beneath the ruins of New Geneva, her hands shaking as she read the latest intelligence reports. The Galactic Council's execution broadcast had been watched by every human on Earth, and the response had been immediate and universal. "Operation Alien Extinction is now active," she announced to the assembled scientists and military personnel. "Every research facility, every military installation, every underground bunker on Earth is now working toward a single goal: the complete and total annihilation of every species that participated in today's massacre." Colonel Marcus Webb, the grizzled military commander who had been preparing for this moment for months, stepped forward. "Doctor, with respect, we are talking about a galactic empire that spans thousands of star systems. They have weapons we can barely comprehend, technology that makes our best efforts look like stone tools. How exactly do we fight that?" Rebecca's smile was cold and sharp. "Colonel, you are thinking like a soldier. You are thinking about conventional warfare, about rules of engagement, about limiting casualties. But this is not conventional warfare. This is extinction warfare. We are not trying to defeat them. We are trying to wipe them out of existence." "And how do we do that?" asked Dr. Kevin Park, the chief physicist whose team had been reverse engineering captured alien technology. "We do what humans have always done when faced with a superior enemy," Rebecca replied. "We adapt. We innovate. We find their weaknesses and exploit them. And if they do not have weaknesses, we create them." She activated the holographic display, showing the galaxy as the aliens saw it, a vast empire of conquered worlds, yet with Earth as nothing more than a tiny speck of blue at the edge of known space. "The Galactic Council made a mistake today," she continued. "They assumed that killing 99 million of us would break our spirit, would make us surrender. They do not understand humans. They do not understand that sometimes the best way to control a fire is to pour gasoline on it." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. These scientists, these military personnel, these ordinary people who had been thrust into an extraordinary situation, began to understand what they were truly contemplating. "Are you saying what I think you are saying?" Colonel Webb asked quietly. "I am saying that the Galactic Council has just declared war on the human race," Rebecca replied, "and they have no idea what they have done. They think we are primitive, that we are weak, that we will break under pressure. They are about to learn that humans are not just another species to be conquered. We are the species that survived ice ages, that turned poison into medicine, that split the atom and touched the stars." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "The aliens have technology, but we have something they do not. We have nothing left to lose. They killed our people. They humiliated us. They made us watch as they murdered our children. And now they expect us to bow down and accept their rule." The assembled humans looked at each other, and in that moment they all understood. This was not about victory or defeat. This was about survival. This was about ensuring that the species that had dared to murder 99 million innocent humans would pay the ultimate price. "So what do we do?" Webb asked. Rebecca's expression was grim. "We begin Operation Alien Extinction. We turn their own technology against them. We infiltrate their worlds, we poison their food, we corrupt their computers, we turn their allies against them. We become the nightmare that keeps them awake at night." She activated another display, showing the research projects that had been in development in secret facilities around the world. "We have been preparing for this day for months. We have alien prisoners, we have captured technology, we have intelligence on their military capabilities. And most importantly, we have something they will never understand: We have human ingenuity driven by human rage." The room erupted in grim laughter. These people, these survivors, these witnesses to genocide, had found their purpose. They would not simply fight the aliens, they would erase them from existence. "Dr. Harrison," asked Lieutenant Sarah Kim, the youngest person in the room, "what happens when we win?" Rebecca's smile was sad and terrible. "When we win, Lieutenant, there will be no aliens left to remember what they did to us. The galaxy will be silent, and humanity will be alone among the stars. And that, I believe, is exactly how it should be." The meeting ended, and the participants dispersed to their respective facilities. But the message was clear. The Galactic Council had made the greatest mistake in the history of the galaxy. They had awakened something that should have been left sleeping. They had awakened humanity's capacity for absolute vengeance, and across the galaxy, in the comfortable chambers of the Galactic Council, none of them had any idea that their extinction had just begun. 6 months after the broadcast that had changed everything, Ambassador Kleth stood in the ruins of what had once been the Zephyrian homeworld. The smell of burning sulfur and ozone filled his breathing apparatus, while the cracked purple sky rained ash over the devastated landscape. "This cannot be happening," he whispered to himself, stepping over the crystallized remains of what had been a magnificent city just days before. How did they do this? The answer came from behind him in the form of a wet, raspy voice. "They poisoned our water supply, Ambassador. Some kind of nanoscale weapon that turns our natural biology against us." Kleth spun around to face what remained of General Thrakk. The once mighty warrior was now a shadow of his former self, his scales dull and cracking, his 4 eyes clouded with pain. One of his arms hung uselessly at his side, the flesh slowly dissolving despite the medical treatments. "The humans did this?" Kleth asked, though he already knew the answer. "But how?" "Our intelligence networks showed no signs of human infiltration. No ships, no weapons, no technology that could reach this far into Council space." Thrakka's laugh was bitter and filled with phlegm. "That is because we were looking for the wrong things. We expected them to fight like us, with fleets and armies and grand strategies. Instead, they sent invisible killers that rode on our own supply ships, microscopic assassins that we welcomed into our homes." A communication device crackled to life on Kleth's belt. The voice that emerged was distorted, mechanical, but unmistakably human. "Ambassador Kleth, this is Colonel Marcus Webb of the Human Resistance. We need to talk." Kleth's 6 arms trembled as he activated the device. "Colonel Webb, we are willing to negotiate. The Council is prepared to discuss terms for a ceasefire." "There will be no ceasefire." Webb's voice cut through the static like a blade. "There will be no negotiations. There will be no mercy. You killed 99 million of our people for entertainment. Now you get to experience what real entertainment looks like." "Please," Kleth begged, his diplomatic training crumbling under the weight of absolute terror. "We can find a solution. Surely there must be some way to end this madness." "The solution is simple," Webb replied coldly. "Complete extinction. Every alien species that participated in the execution, every world that cheered while our people died, every individual who stood by and watched, all of you will cease to exist." The transmission ended with a harsh click, leaving Kleth alone with the dying General Thrakk and the burning remains of an entire civilization. In the distance, he could hear the sound of Zephyrian children crying, their voices growing weaker as the human poison worked its way through their small bodies. "They are monsters," Thrakk whispered. "We created monsters." "No," Kleth said quietly. "We created something worse. We created humans with nothing left to lose." 3 star systems away, Chancellor Vex paced frantically in his private chambers aboard the Council's flagship. His tentacles writhed with anxiety as he reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The numbers were staggering, impossible to comprehend. In just 6 months, the humans had managed to eliminate 17 different alien species completely. Not conquered, not defeated, but utterly wiped out. Men, women, children, elderly, military, civilian, every single member of those species was dead. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his aide, a nervous crystalline being whose transparent body was flashing with stress patterns. They have no faster-than-light travel, no energy weapons, no quantum technology. By all rights, they should still be trapped on their miserable little planet. Sir. Yes, sir. The aide replied, his voice shaking. Our xenobiologists believe they are using our own technology against us. Somehow, they have learned to manipulate matter at the molecular level. They are creating targeted biological weapons, viral agents, even corrupted AI systems that turn our own machines against us. Vex's bioluminescent patches pulsed with rage. That is impossible. Our technology is millions of years ahead of theirs. They could not possibly understand it, let alone weaponize it. With respect, Chancellor, the evidence suggests otherwise. The attack on the Mantari system used their own defensive satellites against them. The Proxima colony's life support systems were turned into poison gas generators. And the Helix Nebula mining operation. The aide paused, his body flickering with horror. The humans somehow convinced the automated mining drones that the workers were raw materials to be processed. The Chancellor's massive form collapsed into his chair. What about our military response? Surely General Thrakk's fleets can stop them. General Thrakk is dead, sir. The Zephyrian homeworld fell 3 days ago. The humans released some kind of bioweapon that specifically targets Zephyrian DNA. The entire population died within hours. Vex felt something he had never experienced before in his long life. Genuine fear. Contact the other council members. Emergency session. We need to coordinate a response before they reach our core worlds. But even as he gave the order, Vex suspected it was already too late. The humans had proven that they did not fight like any other species in the galaxy. They did not follow the rules of warfare, did not limit themselves to military targets, did not show mercy to the innocent. They were fighting a war of absolute extinction, and they were winning. On Earth, Dr. Rebecca Harrison stood in the command center of Operation Alien Extinction, watching as real-time reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The holographic display showed star systems winking out one by one, each light representing the complete elimination of another alien species. Status report, she called out to her team. The Mantari system is completely dark, reported Dr. Kevin Park. No life signs, no communications, no energy signatures. The nanite swarm has finished its work. The Proxima colony has been sterilized, added Lieutenant Sarah Kim. The atmospheric processors we sabotaged worked perfectly. The entire planet is now uninhabitable. And the Helix Nebula operation? Harrison asked. Complete success, replied Colonel Webb, his voice carrying grim satisfaction. The mining drones processed every single alien worker into raw materials. The automated systems are now converting the processed organics into more nanites for the next phase. Harrison nodded approvingly. Excellent work, everyone. What is our current count? 17 species completely eliminated, Park reported. Estimated alien casualties, 4.7 billion individuals across 43 star systems. Good, Harrison said coldly. But we are not finished. Intelligence reports suggest that the remaining council members are attempting to coordinate a counterattack. We need to accelerate our timeline. She activated a new display, showing the locations of the major alien homeworlds. Phase 2 begins now. We will not wait for them to come to us. We will bring extinction to their doorstep. Dr. Sarah Kim asked hesitantly. What about the civilian populations? The children? The elderly, the non-combatants? Harrison's expression did not change. What about our 99 million civilians? What about our children? Our elderly? Our non-combatants? Did the aliens show mercy when they executed them on live television? No, ma'am, Kim replied quietly. Then we will show them exactly the same mercy they showed us, Harrison said. None. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. These humans, these survivors, these witnesses to genocide, had become something their species had never been before, the galaxy's ultimate predators. Dr. Harrison, Webb said, I have a question. What happens after? When all the aliens are dead, when the galaxy is empty except for us, what then? Harrison's smile was cold and final. Then we will have peace, Colonel. Perfect, absolute peace. No more wars, No more conflicts, no more species trying to dominate others. It's just humanity, alone among the stars, exactly as it should be. 2 weeks later, the Galactic Council convened for what would be their final session. The once mighty chamber, which had housed representatives from over 200 species, now contained fewer than 30 delegates. The others were all dead, their species extinct, their world silent. Ambassador Kleth sat in his chair, his 6 arms folded across his chest, his purple skin pale with exhaustion. He had not slept in days, too terrified to close his eyes, too horrified by what he had witnessed. "The humans have reached the inner systems," reported Delegate Kane, his mechanical voice devoid of emotion. "They have eliminated the Aquarian Federation, the Stellar Republic, and the Void Collective. Their weapons are becoming more sophisticated, more efficient. They are learning." "How many are left?" Chancellor Vex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Including our own species. Perhaps 2 billion sentient beings in the entire galaxy," Kane replied. "The humans have managed to eliminate over 600 billion individuals in less than 7 months." The chamber erupted in panicked chittering and roars. Some delegates called for immediate surrender. Others demanded a final desperate attack on Earth. But Kleth just sat in silence, remembering the warning he had given months ago. "I told you," he said quietly, his voice cutting through the chaos. "I told you that cornering any species, even a primitive one, could lead to unpredictable outcomes. You did not listen." Vex's tentacles coiled tighter around his staff. "You think this is my fault?" "I was following standard protocol for dealing with rebellious species." "Standard protocol," Kleth repeated bitterly. "Execute 99 million innocents on live television. Show the galaxy what happens when you defy the Council. Except you chose the wrong species to make an example of. The humans were supposed to break." Vex screamed. "Every other species breaks when faced with overwhelming force. They were supposed to surrender, to accept their place in the galactic hierarchy. But they did not break," Kleth said calmly. "They adapted. They learned. They became something we never imagined possible, a species capable of absolute vengeance." A new voice cut through the argument, transmitted directly into the chamber through the communication system. It was human, female, and carried the weight of absolute authority. "Attention, surviving members of the Galactic Council. This is Dr. Rebecca Harrison of the Human Resistance. You have 15 minutes to evacuate this station before we destroy it." The chamber fell silent. Vex activated the communication system with shaking tentacles. "Dr. Harrison, please, we must talk. We can find a peaceful solution to this conflict." "There is no conflict," Harrison replied coldly. "There is only extinction. You made your choice when you murdered our people. We are simply returning the favor. We are willing to surrender." Vex begged. "We will accept any terms, any conditions you set. Please, just spare the remaining civilians." Harrison's laugh was like breaking glass. "Surrender? You think this is about conquest? You think we want to rule your pathetic empire? No, Chancellor. We want you dead. All of you, every single alien that participated in, supported, or simply watched our people die. But the children," Kleth interjected, "the innocent beings who had nothing to do with the Council's decision." "Tell me, Ambassador," Harrison said, her voice becoming dangerously quiet, "were there children among the 99 million humans you executed? Were there innocents in that number?" Kleth's heart stopped. "Yes," he whispered. "Then you have your answer," Harrison replied. 14 minutes and 30 seconds. The transmission ended. The chamber erupted in chaos as delegates scrambled for the exits, desperate to reach the escape pods before the humans arrived. But Kleth remained in his seat, staring at the empty holographic display where Earth had once been shown. "You are not evacuating?" Vex asked, his tentacles already reaching for his personal communicator. "Where would I go?" Kleth replied sadly. "My homeworld is gone. My species is extinct. My family is dead. There is nowhere left to run." "Then you will die here," Vex said, his voice filled with desperate anger. "Yes," Kleth agreed. "I will die here. And do you know what the truly terrifying part is, Chancellor? I deserve it." We all deserve it. We created this monster, and now it has consumed us all. Vex fled the chamber, leaving Kleth alone with his thoughts. In the distance, he could hear the sound of approaching human ships, their engines humming with the promise of final extinction. 12 minutes later, the Galactic Council station exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The humans had kept their word. 1 year after the execution broadcast, the galaxy was silent. Every alien species that had participated in the Council's decision was extinct. Every world that had cheered during the massacre was uninhabitable. Every individual who had stood by and watched was dead. Dr. Rebecca Harrison stood on the observation deck of Earth's first interstellar colony ship, watching as her people began the long process of settling the empty galaxy. Behind her, the rest of humanity was already making plans for their new worlds, their new lives, their new future. Was it worth it? Colonel Webb asked, joining her at the viewing port. Harrison was quiet for a long moment, watching as human ships moved through space that had once belonged to others. Ask me in 100 years, she said finally, when our children are playing on worlds that used to be alien homeworlds, when our grandchildren learn about the Galactic Council only in history books, when humanity is the only voice speaking among the stars, and if they ask what happened to all the aliens. Harrison's reflection in the viewing port showed a woman who had seen too much, done too much, sacrificed too much. Then we will tell them the truth. That once, long ago, some very foolish beings thought they could break the human spirit, and we will tell them how wrong they were. The galaxy stretched out before them, vast and empty and full of possibility. Humanity had won the ultimate victory, but at a price that would echo through the ages. They had become the very thing they had always feared, the monsters in the dark, the species that others would have nightmares about, if there had been others left to dream. But there were not. Dead. There was only humanity, alone among the stars, exactly as Dr. Rebecca Harrison had always known it should be. The age of aliens was over. The age of humanity had begun, and in the silence of the empty galaxy, no one was left to remember what had been lost, or to mourn for what might have been. Operation Alien Extinction was complete.